Everybody, this is Dr. Jesse Jackson III. I'm a best-selling author and facilitator of the Don't Kick 'Em Out book and training series and the founder of our Elite School Leader Academy, which we're very pleased and proud has served over 200 school leaders this year in its first semester, and that superintendent, central office, personnel assistant superintendents, and school principals and school board members. We're very proud of that because that the overwhelming majority, well over 99%, have stated that being in that class and coming to learn has been eye-opening and is helping them professionally and personally, and has made them better in their role. One of the major challenges that leaders face today, particularly school leaders and building leaders, superintendents as well, is what do you do with discipline? Now, remember, this move towards non-suspension culture is really under 10 years, right? And you have to understand, you know, educators came up with this. So it is not necessarily positive intervention when I hear an educator talk about not suspending and coming up with behavior plans and things like that. First of all, you wouldn't ask the science guy to come up with a writing program. You wouldn't ask the math professional to come up with a chemistry project. And so when you are trying to figure out what to do with behavior, you should always seek the guidance of someone who deals with behavior for a living. Now, you have to understand all of the philosophies we've reviewed over the last decade, and we know what works and what doesn't. You know, punishment doesn't work, not because you don't need to be punished, it's because it doesn't change behavior. Very low percentage will that change behavior. A lot of the giving rewards, and if you be good, I'll give you this. Guys, that's middle class theology, and that's people who don't want to confront children. And what that does is that creates a horrible dynamic with the child, and now the kid is in a professional manipulator. What we have found is that when you're we have found there's a fundamental difference between the way middle class people and impoverished people view school and discipline. Let's think this through. I want you to ask yourself, are these signs located in your building, on your campus, in your district? Number one, high behavior referrals, high suspensions, poor attendance, kids don't come to school, frequent student physical aggression. That means the youngsters are hitting, typically it's in the lower grades, it's that pre-K to third grade, we got a lot of hitting. And then the upper and high school, we got a lot of physical. And a lot of junior highs that I have are really out of control right now. The kids fight all the time. If this is you, check that off the box. Low test scores. You don't even focus on academics. Everything, you're typically spending most of your waking hour on the misbehavior of adults. The vision for the organization now, we don't know which way we're going. We're pulling in different directions. There's not a clear, concise vision for the organization. There's poor communication. We might be small. There's still poor communication. We're still sending emails, send dozens of emails a day. That's not communication. That's information pushing and organizational division. So when I sent a central office down, I can remember one central office that was completely divided. We knew they were ruining the district. The principals were fine. The superintendent's counting on his cabinet to do the work for him, and they're moving in 3 different directions. And now we know why the company is stagnated and why we're not getting production. If this is you, this is telling you you have an issue you need to address. You can't go into another school year not getting results. We like to say our advantage here at Best Man Company International is we get results. See, I don't get involved with anybody. I'm not going to produce results. I'm not an entertainer. I'm not a speaker. I have no interest in that. Guys, I'm busy. I'm running a very large practice. I have a lot going on. Do not call me for entertainment and good talks. Do you want to be trained to be better and grow? Only elite organizations partake in training. Only elite professionals and athletes seek training. And if that's not what you want, I don't want to be a part of your situation. Do you want to grow and improve? See, so what the administrator now has to take a look at is right here. That's what we said 10 years ago. There's school reality model. There's traditional programs and there's critical condition programs. Traditional programs are these middle class oriented ideology of what education is. We believe that 80% of our students, education is a priority. We believe that 80% of our families go to work every day and pay taxes. And at those type of schools, all a teacher has to do is what? Show up, teach, If there's a behavior problem, what do? Call home. But critical condition denotes all of this stuff we've seen with trauma. Everything that we've been highlighting in research, all this crap, all these things, basically, which have become excuses for the children. They're real, but we use them as barriers, mental barriers for the adults to not press the children to work on themselves and have a high standard. And so when all those traumas have kicked in, critical condition, what does that mean? It's predictable. If the kid doesn't get it, we know how it's going to turn out for them. It's very predictable for 80% of those kids in certain environments, whether you're black, white, or brown. If you don't get it, we know how your life's going to work out. We already know. Unemployment, incarceration, death, and reproduction. We know what's going on. Society shows us that. So that's critical condition. So which means that those type of schools, the energy's different. The needs are different. The approach to the children is different. The approach to discipline is different. At a traditional school, you could tell a kid you're calling home and you're going to strike fear. You tell our kids you're calling home, they tell you, I don't care about that crap. And look you square in the face, and then they'll tell you, forget school. And man, that's a fourth grader that said that. It was a little 6-year-old who told his teacher bleep off the other day, and I was at that school. There's a different reality in this world. And one thing with educators, they do not live in the reality. They want to they want to create worlds that do not exist. You can't bring these middle class people and these middle class ideas down here and you want to work with this kid and you're expecting to get a good result. Partly, I feel very sorry for our teachers because, and I don't feel sorry for them, but I really empathize with our teachers because for so long, the training that they're getting in college is not equipping them for the realities they face. So it's like we're failing them, to be honest with you. It's like we're failing them. And it's very disappointing to not equip people for the battle they're really in. So what I have decided to do is, I know for sure that I have to take, first of all, every year I play a 225-day training schedule. That's capacity. Can't go over that. And I would really like to get that number down. The last 3 years, booked, solid, actually overbooked. So we've had to work things out. Every year, I'm always trying to help people because people call and say, hey, can you do it on this day? I got somebody in the day. I'm always trying to work it out. So the one thing that I wanted to do this year that I knew would make a huge difference is I wanted to have what's called small session training. Because here's the deal. I was approached to do a big conference and they said, well, we know we can get you 500 people in the room, Doc, with our network and everything. And here's the thing, what I know about those large conferences, that's where all of you guys go, those big classrooms. What I know is those things are for show. And like 1 to 2% of the people who go to those are going there to learn something. One thing I've learned over my training career, and this is why I really excel at PLCs and those small groups that we do period by period at schools, is that when I get a small group, you can do some work with a small group that you can't do with a large distracted group. Now, in business sense, it's maybe not particularly better for me to do it that way, but I'm not doing it. But I have decided that over this summer that I am going to do 10 of those, and I'm doing them for you. I'm doing them for superintendents, their cabinet, and for principals. And the seating arrangement will go between, I will put 12 to 25 in each class. Now, this is going to sell out. It's going to sell out as soon as we let people know about it, because I already know who wants to come, right? It's going to sell out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it between 12 to 25. And I partner with a hotel. We're going to do small group. We're going to do small class. And what we're going to do, listen, I've got the breakfast. I've got the lunch. You don't have to worry about anything. Bring your pad ready. Bring all your questions and bring your pad ready to take some notes. It's going to be an environment that you can learn and grow and can ask the tough question and you can challenge the teacher and you can gain understanding and get answers. The things that we do, I've decided to do 10 training days at cities around this nation that I already have partnerships with. So, New York, a place in Illinois, in Texas, in Louisiana, going to do multiple days in Louisiana, and we're going to do a day in North Carolina. That's how it's going to work. Small group training. This is how it works. And we're doing it for you, and we're doing this for superintendents and for principals, those who run organizations who want to come. We're going to run it like an executive training. It's going to be the absolute hands down best, most useful training of your career. You will get the answers you are looking for. The first thing we're discussing is the appropriate approach, leadership approach to managing negative behavior. What behaviors are acceptable, which ones are not. What are we going to do about this fighting? What should a fight policy look like for a pre-K to second grade? Because many districts have banned it. Many states have banned it. They won't let you suspend them. However, but they're telling you we don't want to suspend kids, but we have to have something to do that keeps our school intact. And that's what people need help with. So that's for you. How do you effectively build that team culture? Because what happens if you don't have a team culture in these environments, in these impoverished environments, in these Title I environments, if you don't have team culture in there, it creates the divide between the adults and the kids feel it, and you have a horrible culture. How do you develop a healthy school culture? How do you improve your leadership skills? How do you better understand how to support this kid? How does a middle-class person with middle-class thoughts, middle-class understanding, how do I help an impoverished kid and not enable them, not make their life worse? How do I make sure that I'm not an enabler? And that is something that I find that many of my colleagues need understanding with. How do I make sure I'm doing right by this kid, but also maintaining the integrity of our program? And that occurs, my friends, with understanding. Folks, this is a training opportunity of a lifetime. I'm excited because I know I'm only going to be able to do this with the numbers the way we set it up. I think we'll just be able to get in roughly about 100 people over the course of those 10 days. I like the group small. If you know this is something that you need, folks, all of the information is below. Your date, your city's below. In your state, listen, get down there, and we're doing it over the summer months because that means people who come over the summer have taken their life and their business seriously. These things are going to sell out, but I'm doing this for you. I sat down and I thought, what could I do? I know I can't go to everybody's school. I know I can't partner with everybody's district. My schedule won't allow me to do it. So what can I do? I have set these days up. I have made those seats available. You will be treated like an executive that day. You don't have to worry about anything. You will be taken care of. Everything is taken care of. All you have to do is show up. Your date is below. If you know this is what you need, act swiftly and let's go to work on improving your institution or your district. I'm greatly looking forward to working with you. I'll see you in class.